Welcome back. This time it's all about your mediation skills. Since you're an advanced learner, you know the difference between mediation and translation by now. In a mediation, you outline or sum up the most important ideas in another language. Your text should be no longer than 1/3 of the original text. Sounds easy, right? But the mediation task often comes with some hurdles. Here are some tips you can bear in mind when dealing with a mediation task. First, identify the target text. This is the text you're supposed to produce. The most common target text in the Abitur are writing a blog entry, an email, or an article. This could be also an online article. Whatever kind of text you have to write, you should keep in mind the text type conventions. A blog entry, for example, requires a totally different style and format than a formal article. You also need to identify the addressee. This is the one you're writing your text for. It could be a friend, your teacher, or even a global international audience. Your style of writing depends on the target text and the addressee. This is what we call the register, the degree of formality. Whereas a blog entry requires a more neutral and sometimes informal style, an article requires a more formal style. In any case, avoid a too informal writing or even rudeness. Make sure you step by step familiarize yourself with the text type conventions of the target texts. Let's have a look at a typical mediation task. As a frequent blogger about zero waste, write a blog entry presenting a zero-waste lifestyle. Sum up the information as presented in the article. From my experience, it is helpful to restate in your own words what you have to do. The task says that the required target text is a blog entry. The task suggests that you frequently write blog entries about zero waste and probably how you yourself live a zero-waste lifestyle, and that you also have a mixed readership. So the style can be quite casual, enjoyable, but perhaps quite educational as well. When analyzing the task, you focus on the target text, the addressee, the register, but most importantly on the aspects you're told to focus on. Often there are two ways how the mediation task is constructed. It could be a quite general task, or the aspects you should focus on are given. If the task is rather general, as in our example task, it only says that you should sum up the information. It's very smart to read the text and come up with subheadings in order to select, categorize relevant information. If you want to read the German article I refer to, you can do that. You will find it in the link below. Once you read through the article, you may come up with these subheadings. What is the zero waste movement about? What are some reasons for the zero waste movement? You could find aspects for zero waste household and zero waste shopping. And what you now do is to find appropriate information. Pieces of information for your subheadings can appear anywhere in the source text. In the introduction, in the main part, towards the end, what you have to do is to arrange the aspects in a logical order. Do not follow the chronology of the source text. After highlighting and selecting, use your own words to communicate the ideas in the text. Paraphrasing, for example, is the most commonly used strategy. Let's have a short look at the text and apply certain strategies. My first subheading is what is the zero waste movement about? And I also focus on the reasons. You can also use different colors for different aspects, which makes it way easier to group ideas. I'm now highlighting some details by using two colors, one for what is the movement about and one for the reasons. And after highlighting and selecting, I'm now using my own words to bring forward relevant ideas. The following could be the start of the main part. I just focus on the first question. What is the zero waste movement about? To begin with, let us clarify what the movement is about. As the name indicates, it is about completely avoiding waste in plastic. Everything you can boycott is kept to a minimum and is reduced, reused or recycled. The movement is strongly supported by crowdfunding platforms, bloggers and others. The reasons for the boycott are pretty obvious and so on. As you can see, the main tense is the simple present. I use my own words and leave out my opinion because it's just about delivering facts. Mediating information is not only about presenting facts but also about explaining certain concepts that might be unknown to your audience. Not everyone knows about the zero waste movement, so you need to tell the people what it is about. Last year I came across this piece of writing. It was the very first sentence of a student's paper, which reads: "In order to complete the Abitur, it is mandatory to give a presentation or write a BLL for the 5. Prüfungskomponente." Beside the fact that the student mixes languages, no one who is not familiar with the German school system would understand what Abitur, BLL and 5. Prüfungskomponente is. It's super important to explain these concepts. Ask yourself which cultural concepts you need to explain. In a nutshell, these are the most important steps you need to go through when mediating a written text. Analyze the task in terms of the target text, the addressee, register and the aspects to focus on. Read the text and highlight and select relevant aspects. Find subheadings if necessary and reorganize or categorize aspects. Apply strategies like paraphrasing, simplifying ideas, using generalizations, using an antonym, synonym, in order to use your own words. Activate text type conventions and write the required text. Finally, take some time to revise and edit your text.